Let's bring in Peter Schrager here. Big introduction for Peter. Peter, co-host NFL Network's Good Morning Football, Monday through Friday at 7 Eastern. FoxSports.com senior national writer. He's a popular guy. You'll see him on the sidelines and, of course, in studio. NFL Network, Good Morning Football. You still have makeup on from today?
Yeah.
You too.
Tell me 10 years ago, that would be the conversation we're having. Yeah.
I know. I used to borrow my wife's makeup because when I first started at ESPN, they didn't have a makeup artist.
Okay.
So Keith and I, that famous, Sports Center commercial, we're putting on our makeup. And every night before we went on, we would go into the bathroom. Like somebody could be in the stall, but we're there putting on our makeup before we go on. And I had no idea what I was doing.
No, and did you go to the Macy's makeup counter and say can you assist me?
Yes, I did. With my wife. I would borrow her makeup. But now we have makeup art. Well,
I can only imagine the Bristol men's room. It must have been a wonderful scene.
Yeah, imagine that. Yeah, there were a lot of senses there that you had. I'm putting on my makeup because they said we couldn't afford a makeup artist.
Isn't that amazing? Think about how far ESPN has come. Think about that.
Oh, boy. All right. Jalen Ramsey's trade value is what?
This is the problem. He wants to be the highest paid cornerback in football. So everyone says, well, if Minkah Fitzpatrick is worth a first-round pick, why wouldn't he? Because it's almost like Khalil Mack last year, where it's not just the player. You also have to break the bank and completely shatter your salary cap. This one's in mid-season. So I think they're going to want a couple first-round picks, whatever it is. But truth of the matter is he's not as valuable a trade asset because of what he's going to want on the back end. So you're hearing a lot of teams. That's fine. I think what's about right is a first and a third, and then they're going to have to crack out a deal for him to make that salary that he wants. It's a really tough spot for the team to deal with now as opposed to in July or August.
If you were going to bet where he's going to be next week, where would you say?
I think he could get traded tomorrow. That's honestly, I feel like that's how these trade rumors are bubbling on my phone and all that stuff. But to give you a destination, it's going to be a contending team or a team looking to make a big splash. So contending team, your usual teams that are aggressive now. The Patriots, the Ravens, the Eagles, they're always going to be making phone calls. And then there's the wild card teams that need to make a splash. I still think the Raiders might want to make a splash, and Jalen Ramsey coming to Vegas could be quite a splash.
Yeah, that's what I was told yesterday. That they're sort of the dark horse. Keep the Raiders on your radar there. But also, if you're Jacksonville, can you play him tonight and trade him tomorrow?
Isn't it weird? First of all, the league rules say you can't play 2 games in 1 week. So whoever he is traded to, if he is traded, can't play on Sunday. So you already aren't getting him this week if you play him. Secondarily, what if he gets hurt in the first quarter?
I know.
Or what if he says, you know what, I don't want to be a Jaguar, and lets a touchdown the first quarter? I don't know what psychologically is going on right now between the coaching staff and Jalen Ramsey. Doug Marrone was on the record saying, no, we're good. You don't understand. That's our relationship. They ain't good.
No.
They're not good. So what are you getting from him? And then also the risk of injury. It's a surprising decision to say no matter what he's playing, considering what's going on in the week.
Why do I get the feeling that people want to pile on this Cam Newton situation, that this isn't the beginning of the end? This is the end for some people. The opinions that I've read and heard that all of a sudden Cam Newton is the artist formerly known as.
That's a great take. It's almost like he's cooked. If he can't do what he did in 2015, then I want nothing of Cam Newton at all. To tell you right now, on a Thursday, I'd be surprised if I saw him under center on Sunday against Arizona. But what about the rest of the year? Because is it a foot injury, a back injury, a shoulder injury? Or is this that Cam Newton, everyone has the second chapter in his career. Does Cam Newton have that second chapter? I saw Paul Feinbaum was very definitive, right, on ESPN saying he's done. I wouldn't say that as far as that. This guy's played football his entire life. I think he's actually a pretty smart quarterback, too. He can play football again, but he probably can't play it at that MVP level.
All right, Kansas City and the Ravens.
Awesome, right?
Yeah, who would have thought, which quarterback will be more productive? If I said, who accounts for more touchdowns between Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes on Sunday?
Yeah, it's
Who would you take?
Because the X factor is the Ravens defense is really good. I did the sidelines for Cardinals Ravens, so I got to do a production meeting with Lamar Jackson and speak with Harbaugh and all those coaches, Greg Roman. The unknown here is how much those Ravens players and coaches trust Lamar Jackson to the point where they love this guy. It's almost like it's us versus the world. Everyone thinks he's a running back. Everyone thinks we're going to show you, and we're going to overcompensate for that and make sure he's put in position to be successful. And that defense is really nasty. The Ravens defense is nasty. Last year, they played the Chiefs in Arrowhead, and Mahomes had the no-look pass that we talked. he didn't have a great day. Like, Mahomes played well in the fourth quarter, but they bottled him up, and they've got that certain swagger. I would be surprised if Mahomes did the usual 354 touchdowns against this Ravens defense, and yet the Chiefs defense leaves a lot to be desired. I could see Lamar having a bit of a day. I could see Lamar having a better offensive statistical line than Patrick Mahomes, even in Kansas City.
Okay, but are you buying, if Lamar Jackson's a stock, you buying that stock?
Long term or 2019 or week 3? Honestly, I don't know if he could stay upright the way that they play it with him. Everyone says, oh, look, told you he's not a running. He runs the ball.
Yeah.
And last week he had about 5 different scampers where he puts himself in harm's way. Eventually, one of those hits is going to cause what we're seeing with other running quarterbacks. We've seen it too many times.
Yeah.
But right now, am I buying stock in Lamar Jackson? Yes. Ish.
I was going to say, you didn't sound too convincing there. Yeah. Hey, we were recording on that, weren't we?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes-ish.
Of course. Yes-ish?
Yes-ish. But it's not going to change over the next couple of weeks, but I want to see how this... Defensive coordinators are smart. They can read the things that they see on film. In the first couple of weeks, he's played against Arizona and Miami. So let's see what he does against Kansas City. And then, of course, when the big boys in the AFC come rolling in NFC, we'll see how Lamar does.
Explain the timing of the Giants benching Eli, even though they have bigger problems than Eli in the quarterbacking position.
He ripped the Band-Aid off. It's very surprising because I talked to those guys in that building. Everyone loved Daniel Jones all summer, but the plan was Eli, Kansas City model, all that stuff. And then I think, honestly, there's no buzz around the Giants whatsoever. They're the most irrelevant team in New York right now. Even the Jets are getting more pub. They lost 2 games to 2 teams that one of them blew them out. The other one, was just as easy in the home game. I think it's all right. Let's start the future now. But am I surprised? Yes. I would have said week 8 or 9 was the over-under, regardless of how Eli played. But they pulled the chute already.
Do you think Antonio Brown plays the entire season for the Patriots?
I do. Unless the NFL puts that on ice. But I don't think the Patriots are backing off on this thing. He's a really good player. They've already put him on the team. Unless they find out information that makes them feel like it's an untenable situation, I think the Patriots are all in on this Antonio Brown. And they, all the stuff that came out this past week, a Sports Illustrated article that was very inflammatory, they're full steam ahead.
I had somebody who, as a source with the league, who said, he joked, he said, the Patriot way is to look the other way. Like, are we surprised with anything here? Is there culpability with the Patriots?
There have been a lot of situations with the Patriots and players on that roster where things have happened off the field, and the Patriots later said, hey, I don't know. We're focused on football. This one here, all the writing was on the wall going in. Everyone told you that now the obvious allegations and what's going on in the league office right now, I think, was a bit of a surprise for them. But this was not a model teammate the last 12 months, and it might not have been a model citizen either.
Peter Schrager from Good Morning Football NFL Network joining us.
How about Barry Zito, by the way?
He was great.
Fantastic.
He was great. He really was.
Sorry to bring it back. It was amazing.
Yeah. And then you got a good-looking guy who can also play guitar.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not fair.
No, it's not.
No, and he wins a Cy Young World Series. Okay.
His wife was cool, too. She was in the green room. Awesome.
How did she react when I asked about Alyssa Milano and
Jennifer Love Hewitt?
Yeah.
And I said, something about the Nashville music scene, Amber.
Well, I know when I asked the question, and then I all of a sudden see Seton out of the corner of my eye, like going,
yeah.
And then I went, well, I got to ask him. And then it led to the most powerful part of the conversation is he was going to these LA clubs, trying to find his identity by dating somebody famous. So people go, oh, Barry Zito, he's dating somebody famous there.
I hate to derail our Peter Schrager interview, but let me give you a Barry Zito story. I said, I do football. She goes, Barry plays fantasy football, and Barry Zito will criticize the players. And I'll say, Barry, you're doing the same exact thing they did to you. You can't be upset with Daniel Jones's performance. I thought that was funny.
Dak Prescott is
still unpaid.
I know, but
it's pretty good.
He's doing the smart thing, isn't he?
Joe Flacco did it a couple of years ago, and I said that all summer. I'm like, there's no rush for him if he feels satisfied off the field financially and thinks that he can bet on himself. He's going to get the biggest contract in the world, more than he would have made in August. And there's been a bubbling sense of optimism all summer, despite all the drama with the Cowboys, that Kellen Moore is the Dak whisperer, and that Kellen Moore, who finished 3rd in the Heisman to Cam Newton and Andrew Luck, is now the greatest offensive coordinator to ever touch the field. But he's getting the most out of Dak. Dak's looked good the last 2 weeks. He's probably looked better the last 2 weeks I've ever seen him before. They play the Dolphins this week. Every week he's just stacking chips in his corner, but they might ride this out all season.
Yeah, but you know what helps a young quarterback? A great offensive line, an unbelievable running back.
Travis Frederick's pretty good.
Weapons. If I put Dak Prescott in Tennessee, we're not talking about Dak Prescott.
It's fair.
It's the right place, right time, and I do like him. I think he's better than what people have, because he's not a first-round pick. And I think we get to be draft elitist. Like, where were you draft? Oh.
No, it's true. I think people took a couple years.
Like Russell Wilson, we haven't come around to say how great he is.
I think people still were skeptical on Brady even after he won that Super Bowl. It was, okay, let's see now that there's a book on him. Mahomes was a first-round pick, but he was the third quarterback taken. So people still think, second quarterback, that, all right, well, because Trubisky went before Mahomes, Trubisky will be as good as Mahomes. No, Mahomes is a rare deal. But you're right. There's a bias with all these guys. And with Dak Prescott, when you see Connor Cook was taken before him, and all these other names were taken before him, you say, well, we couldn't have messed up the draft process that wrong, right? Like, there's got to be some gimmick. That said, you can only drive the car that you're driven. And he was driven a car that Romo got hurt, Kellen Moore got hurt, and then he was the guy, and he hasn't given up that quarterback job since.
What do you think of the Dolphins' strategy?
I hate it. And I'll tell you why I hate it. I don't hate the fact that they're saying we're looking towards the future. Minkah Fitzpatrick was a top 15 pick, one of the best safeties to come out of college in recent history, a great kid all around, on the second year of a rookie deal. I don't know the messages you're saying. We're saying even that guy is expendable for another first-round pick. No matter what you get in that draft, it's very hard to be as good a prospect as Minkah was. So
he's proven.
He's proven after 1 year, and he is on a second year of a 5-year deal. So whatever you're getting, is it better than Minkah Fitzpatrick, whether he wanted to be there or not? Furthermore, it's one thing to trade off 35-year-old veterans, not 22-year-old safeties who have shown they can do it. I don't get the philosophy. I don't get the strategy. I understand that you're going to tank for Tua. That's fine. They are historically bad. If they lose by more than 15 points, it is the greatest point differential through 3 weeks in NFL history. And that's not what anyone wants. That's not a fair product to the fans.
Are you sold? I'm not sold on Tua, and I'm not sold on Lawrence. I'm just not. I know how this goes. We've had quarterbacks who have emerged, and you go, oh, my God.
Matt Barkley is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Just wait.
Yeah. The Penn State kid.
Christian Hackenberg.
Like we want to anoint. We're so quick to anoint, and then I'm just not sure when Lawrence doesn't look as good this year as he did last year. I like Tua, but Jalen Hurts is putting up unbelievable numbers. I don't know.
In the Lincoln Riley system.
Yes.
So you're like, wait a second. If Kyler's doing that and Baker's doing that, maybe sure. And
are you sold on Tua?
It's very difficult for me to be sold for anyone under 6 feet who's lefty in the NFL, and there's not a single lefty quarterback in the league. It's a very unorthodox looking quarterback, and yet the guy wins. He makes plays with his feet, and the way the NFL is moving, Tua seems like he's the prototypical next.
Yeah, but he's got all-pro wide receivers at Alabama. They've always got a great offensive line, and they've always got a very good running back, and you've got an unbelievable coach.
Greatest coach maybe in college football history.
So it's hard for me to assess how
There's
good you are.
There's not a long history of Alabama quarterbacks the last 20 years.
No. Paulie, yes.
Dan, the I-Team has a report. As Peter Schrager commented, he said, the Miami Dolphins, their fans, they deserve better. I heard out of the back row, and I don't think it was Fritzy. Oh, God.
You don't like that frame?
You guys
fans. What about the fans?
You guys are so soft. If you're going to do the process, you got to do the process. There's no half measures here.
This is a Sixers fan, I know.
Yeah, Mr. Philadelphia.
You can't not do the individual. You're telling me you wouldn't have done the Laramie Tunsil trade, or you guys wouldn't have done the Minkah Fitzpatrick trade?
Laramie Tunsil's 25. Minkah Fitzpatrick's 22. It's one thing.
They're highway robbery. Both deals are going to go down as absolute steals.
Look, Sashi Brown, might have gotten a lot of picks, but when the first round picks were Justin Gilbert and Johnny Manziel, it doesn't always work out. Like, it took years for the Browns to get that draft class, and even then, Njoku's unproven, and we'll see what happens with Jabril Peppers. I guess, to me, I'd rather have players and talent over picks in the NFL. It's different, I feel like.
And it's the
Zion ain't walking through that door.
It's the same thing I said about the Browns. It's one thing to have picks. It's another thing to do something with those picks. I don't know how good Miami is at drafting people. They got Fitzpatrick and they got Tunsil.
Well, you're giving them credit for drafting those guys.
I know, but I want to know when you're drafting a quarterback, that's going to make or break you. If you spend this capital and you're going to spend that number 1 overall pick and Tua is not what we think he is.
But what if the Steelers end up being bad?
Then do you tank again to get Trevor Lawrence the following year?
What if the Steelers end up being bad and they need a quarterback and they trade it for a safety? That will go down as like a Cleveland Cavaliers of the 80s move. You
I
can't,
was surprised that the Steelers got, but I think they're confident in Mason Rudolph.
And their defense needed that guy.
Yeah.
And is it possible the Dolphins knew Tunsil better than the other teams?
Maybe.
And maybe
we
he's
all
not
knew
that
it.
great.
The draft wasn't exactly a great moment for him. I would say one thing on the Dolphins. They didn't do any of this.
How many times have you been caught with a bong mask on, though?
A handful, but not on NFL draft, not the Thursday night. Honestly, though, the Dolphins made all these trades the first 2 weeks of September. To me, if they did it in April or May, I would have said to the fans, okay, so don't go buy that jersey or don't go buy, don't get. To me, that's where I feel for the fans. It's like we bought the merchandise, we got the season tickets, we already booked our travel, and now you're going to do all this and start the fire sale? I just felt like it was kind of a rough deal for Dolphins fans.
It would have been nice if they let him in and just said, hey, we're going to cut prices because we have an inferior product out here. We're all in this together. I would have been fine. Peter Schrager, you can see him every morning, Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern, co-host, even though there's 4 people. You're the lead host, aren't you?
Come on.
Okay. He's the lead host of
That's not true.
He's the lead host of NFL Network's. You don't want Kay Adams mad at you.
No.
You do not.
I don't want any of them mad at me.
Good. Yeah, but, Kyle Brandt, you're not afraid of him.
Whatever.
He's soft. He's a pretty boy.
Come on.
Hey, it's great to see you.
Great to see you. How about that Barry Zito?
Yeah.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune into Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV. Stream for free on BR Live or download the Dan Patrick Show app.